Hello, class, and welcome to our 10th lecture series on Management Essential. And I'm your instructor, Dr. Jamal. Okay, so today we will be starting the new chapter for managing strategy. In our previous lecture, if you recall, we talked about planning, in which we talk about how we plan, how we achieve. We talk about goals, dividing the goals. We talked about MBOs, management by objectives, and other stuff. Okay, short-term goals, long-term goals, medium-term goals. And now let's expand the content, the continuum of planning, managing strategy. So our first learning objective is going to be that we talk about what do we mean by strategic, and then management, and then we talk about steps of strategic management. We talk about corporate level strategy, and then we share some light on competitive advantage and some strategies to gain competitive advantage. Let's talk about first managing strategy chapter, and let's shed some light on what do we mean by strategy. So we talk about that strategy means long-term plan. So whenever you heard the word strategy, it means it's a long-term game, right? So the plan for how organization will do what it's in business to do, and how it will compete successfully, and how it will attract and satisfy customers in order to achieve its goals. So it cannot be done in short term. Of course, it's going to be in long term. So in simple sense, strategy means long-term plan to achieve some organizational objective, some goal. And what is strategic management? What managers do to develop organizational strategies, or how managers manages the long-term planning. It's called strategic management. So because this is management, so obviously it will be including all the four functions of the management. And what was those? Planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So we always, when we talk about the management, we are performing one of these functions in the management. So since this is strategic management, so that doesn't mean that the all the managers must perform long-term planning. No, some are planning for long term, some are organizing for long term, some are preparing the staff or leading the staff for the long term, and some are having eyes on controlling the long term plan, how we are achieving, are we are on the same track or not. All right. So one often term in the strategic management is the business model. So which is simply how a company is going to make money. So it focuses on two things. First, whether customer will value the company, what they are providing, right? And then whether the company can make any money doing from that. So in simple sense, how the company is going to make money. So there are different goals of a firm: social goals, welfare goals, quality goals, financial goals. But in simple sense, the economic goal is how to make profit. Otherwise, the company existence itself is a questionable. So making profit is not a bad thing, right? Otherwise, we don't see any companies nowadays if they are not making profit. Now, let's move forward and let's talk about why is strategic management so important. So there are three reasons. Number one, the most significant one is that it can make a difference in how well an organization performs. If you don't plan for long term, how can you plan for short term? Because short term is based on long term, right? We talked about in our planning chapter, the previous chapter, in which we divide the goals and achieving those smaller short term goals ultimately leading towards the long term goals. So, of course, if you are achieving the short term goals, you are achieving the strategic management long term goals. All right. So, it has a positive impact on the performance. In other means, it appears that organizations that uses the strategic management, they do have higher level of performances, and the matter of fact, that's why it has importance in the world of managers as well. Number two, it its important has to do with the fact that managers in organizations of all types and sizes face continually changing situation. So when you have this kind of situation, so the managers cope up with the uncertainty by focusing on strategic management, and then they decide which actions necessary to take to cope up with these kind of changes and uncertainty. So we already know that today's world of businesses environment is quite dynamic. Everything is changing. We are uncertain. We are not able to predict the future. So in this scenario, in today's world, strategic management importance further enhances or further taken into account. And the last one is because organizations are more complex, diverse, so each part needs to work together towards achieving organizational goal. Every department even is in the organization is diverse. All right. So in that case, the importance of strategic management cannot be denied. So there are three things that as a manager we should focus on learning strategic management as well, and which is a part of planning. So if you happen to join a company as a manager, so you will be performing either of the function: planning, organizing, leading, controlling. So if you are happen to be working in planning, do not forget the word strategic management. All right. Now, what is the strategic management process? So there are 4 steps in planning, a strategic planning, process. Number 1, identify organization's current mission and goals and strategies. Number 2 is basically external analysis, in which we do some SWOT analysis to find out where we are standing, whether our internal environment of the organization and external environment of the organization impacting our decisions and how we formulate our strategies. Because of these internal and external analysis, we formulate our strategies and then we implement them. Right? So the first 4 processes, if you focus on that, okay, so sorry, there are 5 steps. But if you focus on that, the first 4 steps, they are starting from planning, and then implementing those plans. And at the end, it focuses on controlling or evaluating. Oliver, do you have any question?
No, no question,
Okay.
sir. I just entered.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I'm late.
Good. So, If your results are not satisfactory, then going to be 6 steps. Make a loop, go back to step 1. Right? So let's just talk about the step 1. Step 1 is the, first of all, if you are making a long-term strategy, so it must follow the company mission, which means the purpose of the organization. Mission statement which define purpose of the organization, which means defining the mission forces the managers to identify what it's in the business to do. So sometimes mission statements can also be too limiting. For example, in case of Samsung, whether he is working in technology company, home appliances, internet services, devices, gadgets, mobile laptops, tablets. So it's going to be very hard for Samsung company to develop a one comprehensive mission statement. But whenever you are starting the strategic management process, so first you look at company mission and then you try to formulate the strategy. So first you understand the company, what is the purpose of this company, why we set up this company. So remember, mission statement is very important, and mission statement has these components. So whenever you hear a mission statement, identify these words. You will see that over there. So you will find out in a mission statements, the companies will talk about the customers so that the company know what are their target customers, who are the firm's customers. Company will talk about geographically, where does the company compete geographically. For example, Apple America, Apple China. So they both have different mission statements, and overall Apple Corporation, they have their different mission statement. So Apple China will focuses on the market of China, customers China, right? So concern for survival and growth and profitability. So mission statement will always talk about whether they are sound enough to continue for foreseeable future, right? And also give some return to the investors as well. Their philosophy, which means their business practices, business belief, that whether they will be following ethically with some kind of values, what are their beliefs, whether employee focuses, employee giving them some comfort, this kind of stuff. Like Facebook and these technology companies, Microsoft, they give employees a VIP treatment. Their medical costs covered. They will be treated as the partners in the firm. Why? Because all the company, their key strategic point is their brain. Writing codes, thinking about technology stuff and all those stuff. So their philosophy is just revolving around their customers and their employees as well. And then concern for public image, how they want that their company going to be viewed from public perspective. So in order to do that, to create a good public image, they do charity, they open hospitals, public parks, old age homes, they donate to orphanage, this kind of stuff, create some recreational activities for free to the public, this kind of stuff. Public services, what are the firm's major products or services? Products or services. Technology, whether they are using latest technology, whether they will be using latest technology or the old technology, or whether they will be coping up with the new technologies or not. And then what are the firm's major competitive advantage and core competencies? It will be mentioned whether they want to be remain a high valued, highly prestigious, quality oriented products, or they will be available for every person at a low cost. We'll talk about that, right? Employees as well, whether they are considering their employees the valuable assets, treating them